All right, welcome to the At Bat Baseball podcast presented by War Media, where we give you our thoughts on the latest Chicago baseball news, as well as take a trip around the league. I am Saul Rodriguez, along with Miles Porter. How was your week, man?
Good. It was good.
Oh yeah, and then I know you had a good week. I saw some of your stats for your Milwaukee Jaguars season debut. How was that, man? Give us a little bit of insight on your personal and also how the team do.
Hey, we had a good start. We had a really good start to the season. Very good first game, very good opening game, and then an even better second game to open up as well. I mean, that was our third game on Sunday, but it was great. We're off to a 3-0 start. We're feeling good. Defensively, I feel great. Is the most in shape I've ever felt playing at third base. So I just loving it. I'm one of the older guys now on a pretty young team, even at 25 years old, but I'm loving it. It's loving it.
Oh yeah, how many runs did you knock in this weekend, or what's your batting average up to this point?
Yeah, so so it was a good start. It was a good start on Saturday. Nice little 2 for 5. Drove in a run. Saturday, Sunday took a nice fat old offer, but hitting the ball hard. It's just baseball, man. Just hitting the ball hard at people, and apparently I got called out for interference on a
Oh my.
swing while the runner was taking second. All I did was swing the bat, and the catcher just fell into me. But I was called for interference, so I was called out on that. But I had
Oh
a
my.
stolen base on Sunday as well. So for people who don't know, I'm really fast.
Eh, Miles has speed. Miles has wheels. If anybody's wondering, uh, but no, it's awesome, man. I mean, and then you guys play. How often do you guys play? Is it every weekend?
Yeah, pretty much every weekend. There's a couple of weekday games as well. It's a very very competitive week for a lot of guys. This is like summer collegiate ball. For other guys, this is them, still playing and hoping to get back to some sort of affiliate ball. And it's amazing. It's very very competitive baseball. So it's fun.
And then last year, who won it all? Because I know I was looking at a little bit of it's called the Land of Lakes,
Yeah.
right? And so who won it all last year?
I forgot who it was last year, but I
Uh,
remember I forgot their name, but I remember when we played them, it was one of the best games of the season just because of how intense it was.
mm.
I
Oh,
forgot, I
that's
forgot
not.
which team that was that won
Oh no, yeah, it's all good. No, yeah, that sounds pretty cool, man. I mean, yeah, like it's cool to have like the mixture of all those players all in one spot like that. So yeah, no, yeah, best of luck the rest of the way, but we'll keep tabs. And in a couple weeks, I'll ask you about your WOBA and your WAR and all that.
it. Sounds good. Sounds good. I'll make sure to be solid up to that point.
But all right, so we'll start things off on the north side of Chicago. The Cubs, currently 17 and 24, entering. Obviously, this will air on Wednesday, but this is entering. We're recording on a Tuesday. They played the Pirates last week, and they look great because I mean the Cubs are just good against the Pirates when it comes to scoring. Not necessarily series wise. They're still 4-5 against the Pirates, but I saw something ridiculous like they like outscore the Cubs outscored the Pirates 51-22, but they're still 4-5 against them in the season series. I mean, if that doesn't sum up the Cubs' season, I don't know what does. Because when I look at the Cubs' run differential compared to like a lot of teams, it's actually pretty good for like a bad team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So but yeah, the Pirates, I don't know what it is. In the first game, I believe the first game was 9-0. The second game was 7-0. Um, but yeah, no, they weren't able to complete the sweep. And of course, it was more of a David Bednar, the Cubs' arch nemesis, with his which another thing with him too is I saw, he's the only pitcher in Major League Baseball to have multiple 6 inning saves, which is kind of funny when you're like playing for like the Pirates because it's like
Yeah,
they're just like, all right, whatever, let's see what this guy could do and just put him out there for six.
right.
But then the Cubs played the Diamondbacks, and so after the Pirates game, they won 3 straight series, which is insane for this Cubs team. And then they played the Diamondbacks and lost 3 out of 4. And we were talking a little bit about it, texting a little bit over those games. I mean, it really not much to say because it was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they had that game where Josh Rojas hit 3 home runs.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Yeah.
which like just it's just when I was telling other buddies too, I'm just like, dude, that's just baseball, right? It's just the most baseball like stuff that happens in some of these games. Like that game had
Yeah.
11 home runs, which is just the
Yeah.
fourth time ever that happens at Wrigley. But yeah, like what were your thoughts when you were watching that? Like Josh Rojas just hitting tanks at Wrigley.
Oh my gosh, it was. And I remember looking into that game, then forgot that I had my own game. But the wind was blowing pretty hard that day as
Mhm.
well. So anything that's hung and hitting the air on a windy day at Wrigley Field, it's such a hitter's ballpark. And Josh Rojas, all power to him. It was as a baseball fan, it was fun to watch just to see him just he just bullying the Cubs pitching. I thought it was awesome. Me personally, just as a fan in general, not awesome as a Cubs fan, but it's just one of those days. There are multiple days that we can look back on at Wrigley and just look at a player who comes to town and just he's just setting the ball over the wall consistently, like 2-3 times a game. And it was just one of those days. And unfortunate for the pitching, but I think still fun for a baseball fan to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is too with that was Hendricks continues to struggle,
Yeah.
and that's just tough. I mean, overall, in the past, like dating back to at least like last April and possibly even before, but like he's been struggling for a while now, and it's just tough to watch. I mean, you talked a little bit about his pitch selection.
Yeah.
What are like a couple of things that you saw, at least in the Diamondback series or just in general, that you're seeing that just aren't working out for him right now?
Yeah, so with Hendricks, he is a heavy contact pitcher. He's not his style of pitching isn't really to strike hitters out, more so get weak contact. So with that being said, there isn't a lot of velocity that comes to Kyle Hendricks. That's okay. So what he has to do is depend on his breaking pitches to move. Um, and what we saw the other day, his breaking pitches were not moving. So anything that he leaves over the plate that has no break to it or isn't going from one spot to another out of his hand, it's no different than batting practice for a hitter. It's really the same exact concept, same speed out of his hand than a player practicing before the game. He's just leaving it up there for them. So for Kyle Hendricks, it is imperative for him to have movement on his pitches and properly locate. Because if that's not the case, he's gonna get hit very, very hard. So that's what I've been seeing from him. But he's such a veteran at this point. I'm expecting him to put it together. I really am. But in the meantime, it sucks to watch. It sucks to watch because he is such a great player that we all love to watch pitch. Um, you know, I think it's just one thing where he just has to figure it out a little bit this year, and plenty of season left. we're only in May still, but you don't ever want to see that.
Yeah, and you're right in the way he pitches and the way he's always pitched, and it's almost his whole career he's had a lot of
Yeah.
success. But he is, yeah, like, and to some people that don't know like necessarily Kyle Hendricks or have seen him pitch, like I always try to tell him, like if I'm watching the game with my brother or something, I'm like, this guy's always gonna get hit.
Mhm.
It's just about controlling like how hard they hit it or where they hit it. And
Yeah.
he's been pretty good on like getting guys out overall in his career, but these past couple seasons they've been hitting the ball way harder and they've been hitting the ball over the wall. So
Yeah.
it's kind of tough. And hopefully he finds it. Yeah, he's had seasons before like this where he starts off really slow and then goes off to have like a sub threes, 2 something ERA, for the rest of the
Exactly.
season. So hopefully he's able to find it because he's the main guy. He's like the ace on there. So hopefully he's able to find it. But one guy though that I will say is hot. So the Cubs were able to salvage Game 4 to avoid the sweep. And they had back-to-back home runs from Frank Schwindel and Patrick Wisdom. So Schwisdom was in full effect.
Yeah.
And I was doing a deep dive on just multiple teams, not just the Cubs. I was looking at the White Sox as well. But what I found interesting is how hot Patrick Wisdom is right now and how good he's
Mhm.
been playing this season actually overall. Because I know it's like one of those things that you look at his batting average and you're like 219. How is he playing well? But he has 20 barrels this season. It might have changed. This is like Sunday. I think I checked this on Sunday. It might have changed since then. But he has 20 barrels, which puts them in the top 2% of Major League Baseball,
Yeah.
and has an average exit velocity of 92.4, which has him in the top 8% of the league. So that puts him like in the category with like those guys like Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. Even Wilson Contreras is up there with in exit velocity this year. So he's crushing the
Yeah.
ball,
Yeah.
obviously. So it's cool. That's another guy too that I was gonna say that. if the Cubs they have him for another year, but it's another guy that the Cubs might consider moving at the trade deadline, because I know he'll probably be sought after, especially because of his age. Like I think if he was a little younger, they might be like, oh, we got another year of him. We'll see what what happens.
Yeah.
But him turning, he's gonna turn 31 in August. They might look to deal with him. But what do you think so far about Patrick Wisdom's season, and like what have you seen from his approach at the plate? What do you think has made him like keep up what he was doing last year?
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, he was actually scuffling a bit. A lot of swing and misses. I think I'm seeing a little bit more patience out of him. He's doing a great job of turning on baseballs as well. Anything that's kind of left, in or middle in or up and in a lot of cases, he's turning on these pitches. So, I love how he hits the ball with so much authority. He's a really gifted player when you look at his ability. And even defensively as a third baseman, his arm across the infield is wicked. And he has a rifle that he has. Um, I think it's just settling in. I think that's really it. I think it's a case of a lot of players who have struggled at the beginning of this season because it was a little bit of a weird start. But many players have settled in, and I think Patty Wise is just one of the examples of players who's like, okay, cool. Now we're getting into it. May 24th, I'm starting to feel good. He has a rhythm going, and that's what I'm seeing from him. I think he's just getting more comfortable. And honestly, with him, I think he's just going to get better as the season progresses as well. I'm not surprised at anything I'm seeing. I'm super proud. It's very fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that like, I I don't necessarily think he'll be in a home run derby unless he hits like 10 more home runs until,
Right.
goes crazy or something, but it's one of those guys that I'm sure is pretty fun to watch during batting practice cuz all the pitches he makes contact with, if he makes really good contact. Obviously he's barreling balls, but I mean, he smashes them. They go a long way.
Yeah.
So another thing too was Contreras' meltdown. He had a meltdown. I believe it was in game 3. It was on Saturday. But yeah, he got called out on a strike that was it looked like a ball. From at least from TV on there. And he made a circle around the home plate, or kind of like showing him where he got it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But you saw the I mean, you saw that one. You saw that play, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's just yeah. Go ahead.
I honestly, gosh, I don't want Wilson to leave. I love his passion. I'm and that was, I looked at the stats of that pitch was within the margin of error with a lot of umpires, but as a hitter, a ball is a ball. Uh, you know, I think Wilson for the most part has been very, very patient with a lot of these calls this year, whether it is on him or whether he's behind the dish catching. I think Wilson's been pretty patient. So after a while, you have enough. I just love how he just as soon as he got tossed, and David Ross comes in and steps in, and love how he draws a little circle and slams his bat down and tosses his helmet. I love that. I love every second of it, because I feel like with Wilson, it's very warranted. He's a very fiery player. He's a very passionate player, but in my opinion, I don't think it is too much. I don't think he's dramatic. I just think he really cares about the game. And he's extremely passionate about every single pitch, every single play. So after a while, when the umpires are kind of screwing up, you have enough, especially when you're down in the game. You don't want that. So, that's Wilson. That's Wilson being Wilson, and we all appreciate him for who he is, and I have no problem with it at all.
No, yeah, I mean that's one of the I think probably one of the best Contreras meltdowns I think
Yeah,
I've seen. So
yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things where when those types of things happen, I'm like, dang, yeah, I'm gonna miss his enthusiasm, the fieriness, and stuff like that. Because yeah, I mean it is it is what it is. It sucks, but he's probably gonna be gone soon. So
Yeah.
we'll enjoy it while we can. So the Cubs, like I said, were able to win the last game against the Diamondbacks, but lose that 3 out of 4. And then on Monday, they opened the series against the Reds. Drew Smiley had a great outing. Wisdom homered again. That's homer in 4 straight. Ian Happ, who loves hitting in Cincinnati, nearly hit 2 home runs. He hit 1 though, and is just looking good at the plate overall. The Cubs, like I said, 17-24. They now have 3 more against the Reds, and then they have 2 against the White Sox in the second and last crosstown series, which we'll get into a little bit later. But now we'll shift over to the White Sox, who are 21-20. They had a series win, had a couple series wins, a couple big series wins. Honestly, here in May, they played a big 5-game series against the Royals due to rainouts and all that. So they won 3 games out of 5, and then they played the Yankees and won 2 out of 3, and that series was epic. I think the way they bounced back with this, with that series win against the Royals to start off the week was really good. Their offense still is a little bit inconsistent. They had the 2 losses kind of showed that there. I know one of them came in a doubleheader, but still frustrating. I know when I talked to Herb Lawrence last week, he was talking about we were talking a little bit about how the lineups have been so different every day. Like I think it was the 35th game of the season at one point that they had 35 different lineups. I believe somebody from CHGO tweeted that out, and it's just like that's I don't know if I've ever seen that before, so or heard of that before. But yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
But for you personally, looking at that series against the Royals or just in general, have you seen something different with the offense, or is it kind of the same problems over and over again with the White Sox? Like what did you see there in early on?
Well, I think I'll start defensively. Defensively, I think they're starting to clean it up a bit, which has made a big difference. Um, Offensively, I'm not seeing too much difference here. But I do like Andrew Vaughn a lot. I do think that he's been a pleasant surprise for the White Sox. I mean, hitting a modest 277, but I think for the White Sox right now, I think take it. But defensively, I think that they have stepped it up just a little bit throughout those series, which has made a big difference. Because if offensively we're still not there yet, and the defensively our pitching is still trying to figure it out. We have to be good in the field. We can't be kicking the ball around. So I think that also has made a good difference as well. I know we're gonna get to it, but Tim Anderson and Josh Donaldson, I think that has a lot to do with some of this fire going on as well, because those emotions run deep. So yeah.
No, yeah, that like the Yankees White Sox series, like I said, was crazy. I mean, for multiple reasons. More obviously the controversy with Donaldson and Anderson, but to the baseball first is just how the White Sox were able to beat them 2 games out of 3. I think was ginormous because of how good the Yankees are.
Yeah.
Yeah, big series win for the White Sox. But yeah, for the Tim Anderson and Josh Donaldson, for all those who don't know, Tim Anderson went. I believe he slid into third base or something, and Josh Donaldson, they were chatting and saying something to each other. But Josh Donaldson said or called Tim Anderson Jackie, like Jackie Robinson. Like I'm not exactly sure the words he used. I think Donaldson said it in an interview, but yeah. All in all, he called Tim Anderson Jackie. Josh Donaldson said that the reason he called him that is because Tim Anderson called himself that in an article, I think back in an interview back in like 2019 or something like that. But first of all, I'm gonna let you go first and talk about your what you saw, what you heard, and what your overall thoughts are on the situation. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is this is an interesting situation going on right now with them. You just for someone who has an issue with you the way Tim has an issue with Josh Donaldson, what are you saying that for? Like what is what is the purpose of that? I don't. In my opinion, if I'm Tim in that situation, that probably comes off a bit sarcastic. So I don't think I just think it was kind of distasteful for the issues that they're having. Don't do that. Don't call him any name. Don't. He doesn't like you. That is, I don't understand why he thought that would be smart. And you know what? I like that Grandal had stepped up for him as well. That is such a that's such a powerful topic for a lot of players of color. When someone says that, they don't say it as a joke. They say it as they feel like they're a leader of a new generation in terms of bringing newer excitement. Now, if he said that as a joke, whatever, but you got to know the climate between you two. That's not the right thing to do. That's not the right thing to say to him. And I really think probably in general. So, you know, a 1 game suspension from the MLB, sure. I think that's fine. I know Donaldson is appealing it, but just not the time, not the place. Never again. Don't do it. So that's really where I'm at with that. I just think it was just a terrible thing to say, and it shouldn't happen again.
Oh no, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, and it's one of those things where the way Donaldson said it, like, oh, we have had that joke before. Like I don't know if I necessarily believe that. Like I don't know, it's just like the way he says it. He had that kind of look on his face, like like he's kind of BSing. So I don't know if it was really a joke. I think Tim Anderson would have taken it because he seems like such a like guy likes to goof around and mess around and stuff like that. But yeah, he doesn't like you, especially now. Is not the time to make a joke. Because of
Right.
their situation is I don't think there's is any time for joking there. But uh, when you're saying stuff like that, specifically like I think you're better off just not saying that type of stuff because it's like no matter what, somebody can take it the wrong way, right? So if you
Yeah.
know that
Exactly.
if there's any room any room for, oh, maybe this might be taking this might be taken as racist, or this might be taken as this or that, like you're probably better off not saying it.
Right.
Like even if
Yeah.
you guys were joking or whatever, like if that was a joke, then let Tim Anderson make it. Like let him talk about it or joke around about
Yeah.
it. But if you
Yeah.
think somebody's gonna take it a certain way, then yeah, like you're probably not. You're better off not saying it. And of
Yeah.
course,
Exactly.
in that situation, the bench is cleared. And of course, there was a little more, like you said, with Grandal. There was a little more arguing there. Yeah, it was cool to see. I mean, it was cool to see Grandal stand up for his guy and, not take Donaldson's BS there. And good to see the league to suspend Donaldson. It's, I think, better than nothing. I think
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it'll remain a 1 game suspension regardless of the appeal.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and as you said before, it might probably helped in the grand scheme of things with the White Sox firing them up,
Yeah.
especially for the Sunday doubleheader because they were able to sweep the Yankees in that doubleheader and win that series
Yeah.
2 games out of 3.
Big.
Yeah, so Tim Anderson ultimately won that battle this weekend, and
Hmm.
he was absolutely clutch, hitting big hit after big hit, and that home run on Sunday Night Baseball. I mean, that just shut down New York City. I mean, that was
Yeah.
an Oppo, bomb, and it was awesome to see. Also another thing too was Kopech. I think he dazzled on Sunday Night Baseball. I mean, he's putting it together. He's putting it together this season, and it's he's awesome. He has like an opponent's batting average of 122 right now.
Amazing.
And also I saw that he's in the 91st percentile for expected batting average. And so he's killing it. And well, for you, when in your view, what did you see in that Sunday performance that you've seen throughout the whole season? I mean, Kopech's nasty.
Yeah.
We've known that for a couple of years now,
Yeah.
but he just seems like he's like in the zone. And it's funny because sometimes it looks like he's not even like, and maybe in some comments too. He doesn't even look like he's satisfied with the stuff he's throwing. Sometimes, like he almost
Right.
knows he can be better, which is
Yeah.
scary because it's like how much better this guy can be. But yeah, what did you see on Kopech?
He's he is becoming a full pitcher now. He's becoming a full big leaguer at this point. Not just depending on his fastball, which we know that he has a very explosive fastball out of his hand, but I'm realizing, I'm watching him mix his pitches. I think it was a curveball or slider that he's throwing a lot now, away from hitters or in on lefties. It's great. He's properly mixing his pitches, and he's controlling the pace of the game. So and when you watch Kopech in years past, and he's had an arm injury, you cannot help but just root for this guy. And this is just something that I think pretty much every Sox fan has expected out of him. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. He's just becoming a mature full pitcher now, and he's pitching like a big leaguer. And it's the success is showing, mixing his pitches, keeping hitters off balance. Um, that's the key right there. That's the key of succeeding in the big league. So all power to him. It's amazing. It's amazing. So he's just coming into himself, and it's only going to get better from here going forward.
Yeah, and I think also is every time I look at the White Sox staff in general, like on paper, and then I think of going into the postseason, if healthy, and every guy on there. I mean, that is probably the best rotation in the postseason on paper.
Yeah,
Going into a series,
yeah,
it's just you got Cease, you got Kopech, Giolito, Lance
hmm
Lynn. It's those. It's four really good starters if everyone's on their game.
yeah.
Because you really hope that Lance Lynn comes back and he's he's last year's Lance Lynn.
He was so fun to watch last year,
Yeah, yeah.
man.
So it's gonna be really, really fascinating to watch the rest of the way and into the postseason because I expect they're still a couple games behind the Twins, still early. I think the Twins are going to falter a little bit later on in the season. I still think the White Sox are going to win the division, but it's going to be a good race to watch overall. And another thing too was Johnny Cueto finally made his first two starts. Obviously, the first last week against the Royals, and he was really good. And then again, he followed that up with another great start against the Yankees. And I mean, he's been looking pretty good. 12 innings, 8 hits, no runs. He's got a FIP of 210, so he's doing well so far. Hopefully, quick because that'd be huge. That would be really huge if Cueto can step in, and be
Yeah,
that be that guy.
yeah,
And it, it'll be fun to watch him. I mean, he's always been fun to watch. He's the type of guy who's just like goofy on the mound and does a
yeah.
bunch of moves.
He
So
fits that Sox culture too. I
yeah,
think he's
oh, he
good for that Sox
100%,
culture. I think he fits
100.
that team like a glove. So it's a great pickup for him.
Oh yeah, no, and I also it's one of those guys that I'm like, man, why did it take so long for somebody to pick him up? I think somebody could have used him,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it's good to see there. Um, And then I saw a tweet from Christopher Kamka too that said on Sunday night was just the fourth time this season the Yankees have scored one run or less at home, and half of those came in Sunday's doubleheader, with the Sox winning Game 1 3-1 and 5-0 in in the nightcap. So
Yeah.
it's holding off the Yankees offense seems close to impossible when you got guys like Judge, and staying in the lineup,
Yeah.
but they were able to do it.
Yeah.
I think they just had Gallo out of the lineup, but
hmm
yeah, it's good to see. Big series win there. Now they play the Boston Red Sox starting on Tuesday,
hmm
um, and that'll be another great series to watch because those are two teams that are kind of on the bubble, kind of still trying to
Yeah.
see who they are. And then they play the Cubs for 2 games. So before we get into the crosstown talk a little bit, what do you expect the White Sox to do against these Red Sox?
I think that Sox and Sox series can go pretty much either way. I do think the White Sox have a little bit less of an identity crisis going on in terms of what they want to do this year. I think the Red Sox are still in a what now kind of mode because they're really not competing all that much. You kind of got the Yankees, not even kind of, you got the Yankees running away with it. You got Tampa Bay right there. I don't think the Blue Jays are gonna fall off anytime soon. Maybe they go back and forth with the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox are really just trying to figure out, okay, if we're not competing by July or August, what are we trying to accomplish here? Now, Trevor Story is having a great year. He's been on fire the past 2 days. We're going to touch on that in a bit too. I think it's just a matter of, I don't know. Maybe the Red Sox win this series. The Sox are the White Sox are they're a very up and down team right now, but I think they do have some momentum coming out of New York. Um, Red Sox aren't playing bad either. They've won their last five, so no, it can go either way. It can go either way with this team with this series. I think it's a very these are two very similar teams playing each other, but I'm still gonna give the edge to the White Sox just because of what they are trying to accomplish. They know where they want to go, and I think the Red Sox are kind of in a what do we want to do if this isn't working out kind of scenario.
Oh, that's true. Like the Red Sox, I still think they have a lot of holes, a lot of areas of concern,
Yeah,
all over the field. And yeah, they've been playing a little better. I know, like you said about Trevor Story, he's been carrying the offense this past week. But yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting to watch. I know um the way that the Red Sox have played, um, they hope to at least be that sixth spot, fifth spot because they're way back from
Yeah.
the Yankees in first place. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's early, but I mean uh, maybe not when you're in the same division as the Yankees. I mean, it could
Yeah.
you can make an argument that it's over already. So but
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll see with that. It'll be fun to watch. So now to the crosstown talk. It's going to be the second and final series between the White Sox and the Cubs this weekend. It is another 2-game series.
Oh,
Yeah, right. I know.
stop doing that.
I know.
Give us
Hopefully,
2 threes, man. Gosh, what
yeah,
are we
yeah.
doing?
Hopefully next year with that, with the realigned schedule and like everybody faces each other once thing. I
Yeah.
hope at least like if they give us like maybe like even if they give us one series, if it's a 4-game series, I'll take that. But yeah, just two-game series is like I don't like that's kind of whack. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
hopefully give us something more. But uh, for the Cubs, it's almost like for the playoffs for the Cubs at this point, just because I mean they don't have much to look forward to when it comes to the season. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
they got to play their best baseball against the White Sox. And
Yeah.
I feel like the series they played at Wrigley was still well played in general for both teams.
Yeah.
But obviously the White Sox took 2 games, and it was rainy and it was ugly. But um, what do you expect going into this second series between these two teams? Obviously on different parts of the baseball world. But what do you expect?
I wouldn't be surprised if the Sox take 2 more. But anything can happen. Baseball is a game of surprises and upsets and weird stats that you never thought existed until they were pointed out. But 2 games on the South Side, and the Sox team that plays with playing with a lot of momentum right now. And I think if they come off another series win with the Red Sox, uh, I think they're gonna have a little bit of the edge there, but anything can happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Sox take 2 of those games, but would love to be proved wrong.
Yeah, and the pitching matchup's pretty interesting too. You got a Dallas Keuchel who's pitching really well right now.
Yeah,
Looked really good
yeah,
against the Yankees too again.
hmm
And then Wade Miley who's doing really well for the Cubs.
yeah,
So also then on Sunday, it'll be Johnny Cueto against Drew Smiley, and Cueto, like we talked about before, is doing really well as in his first 2 starts with the Sox. But Drew Smiley's also been very respectable for the Cubs. I know yesterday he had 5 shutout innings. Like he gave up a few runs in the sixth, I believe it was. But he's been pitching pretty well for them too. Um, Overall, so I think ultimately with the way the Sox are playing, I think they're going to go in probably take two out of three. I'm honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw a sweep of the Red Sox, just because of like you said, the
yeah.
momentum and stuff like that.
Yep,
So if they come in red hot like that, probably going to take another 2 games out of the Cubs. But
yep,
yeah, it'll be good to see. Maybe the Cubs can salvage a split, and have a little more Schwisdom stuff go on. So I know that'll be a fun series regardless. So now we'll move on to other topics around Major League Baseball. Now, one of the things I really wanted to get into, we were talking a little bit about the Yankees before, but stadium talk. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Camden Yards and Yankee Stadium, because a couple weeks ago there was a lot of chatter about the short porch for Yankee Stadium and
yeah,
this and that, and they only hit a lot of home runs because they have the short porch over there.
yeah,
This home, I think it was Chris Woodward, the manager of the Texas Rangers, saying that it's something about calling it like a little league ballpark or something like that.
yeah,
And I was I don't know, I think it's just such a tired topic when it comes to the Yankee Stadium. Is a tired topic because people always talk about that stuff, and it's like,
yeah,
dude, your team's playing there too, so it's like you have you know, if you're gonna complain, it's like just do the same thing the Yankees doing, like hit it over the short porch over there and right. It's like,
yeah,
and another thing too is like, what other sport do you have where the stadiums or the fields are in different dimensions and it's a
yeah,
whole like I don't know why people complain about it. It's like I think it's pretty like it's a cool thing in baseball to see like, oh, and it would be a home run in this stadium, but not in this one. Like it's just like
Yeah.
it's one of those quirks that I think actually works in the favor of the game.
Hmm.
Um, and we'll get into more of the Camden talk, but what are your thoughts like overall on just the Yankee Stadium and in the short porch talk and all that?
It is what it is. I think it's one of the things that is one, like you just said, it's one of the most unique things about baseball is every stadium is so different. So yes, with the Yankees, it is a very, very short right and left field, porch there. Um, that's okay. Um, because your team is playing there as well. You're both playing in the same stadium. Now, maybe the Yankees do have a little bit more of an advantage just because they're always playing there and taking BP there, and the Yankees they sign players based on how they're going to dominate at Yankee Stadium and all these other things. It's really why Joey Gallo's a Yankee for the most part. It's because of Yankee Stadium. And also defensively, he's great, but that's no here or there right now. But it is, it's one of the cool things about baseball that makes baseball so cool. I love it. I love it. Every stadium is so different. and I think one of the main why it frustrates fans so much is it's because it's the Yankees. Um, the Yankees and Yankees fans are very loud. So when they you have this element added to what the Yankees are, people probably do get a little bit more irritated about it, as compared to the Red Sox, because it's very similar to the Red Sox if you look down their right field line, more towards the pole, obviously. But you know, it is what it is, and it's cool. It's cool. You just got to adjust. It's a game of always adapting and adjusting wherever you go, and that's what makes it unique from every other sport. So I love it.
And yeah, another thing too is staying in that same division with Camden Yards and the Baltimore Orioles. They moved their left field wall
Yeah,
back. I don't know the exact dimensions, but they moved it back quite a bit. And then
looks
it's
ugly.
kind of yeah, yeah, I know.
Looks so
I would say
ugly.
yeah, it's hideous, and it's like a baby green monster almost, like the way it's
Yeah,
set up and stuff. But yeah, that one has gotten a lot of talk, these past couple months now, and just how I think it was the Yankees that hit the first home run, they had the first right-hander to hit a home run over left field this season, and it's like in May. And if it wasn't the first, it was like the second. I was like, dude, that's ridiculous, and
yeah,
it was, but what was also funny is that when they were talking about that in the game, the Orioles went on to hit like two home runs over the left field wall.
yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, but it's just like we're obviously roasting it, but like what what did you think, or what do you think initially of seeing Camden Yards in that wall in left field?
I remember reading about it during the winter, and I looked at the designs, and I was like, "Don't do that." I don't like it. I don't. There's this weird thing with the commissioner and a couple of other people in the game of baseball where they are trying to kind of diminish the offensive side of baseball. Uh, for them to not only move it back but raise it the way they did, and it just looks so disproportionate and ugly. I just I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. It's still the big leagues players just looking to be able to put the ball over the wall. Um, Definitely at a lesser pace for sure. But there's still gonna be plenty of home runs over, on that side of the field. But I just don't think it was necessary. I don't think it was necessary at all. Maybe if they were that, frustrated about it, I understand maybe 5 feet and then raise the wall a little bit more. But to significantly push it back like a hairline, I just that just that just made me laugh. I
LeBron's hairline,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. They messed up the Camden Yards hairline, and it didn't deserve. It didn't deserve that. I don't. I think just raise the wall and push it back a little bit. But I don't know. I don't like it. That's a big change that didn't need to happen. Offense is offense. Let the players hit. Pitchers got to pitch and make pitches. We can't keep doing this all the time. But it is what it is.
And I was actually talking to my buddy who's a Yankees fan, and he was saying how it's just funny seeing it from a Yankees perspective. I mean, just they hate it so much. I mean, it's funny because it's not, and it's not even just the Yankee players or your Yankee fans. Because it's also the Orioles. I mean, Trey Mancini came out over the weekend saying how he hates it too.
Hmm.
Which I mean, as
Yeah,
a front office, that I'm sure wants Trey Mancini there for a while longer. It must be tough to hear that from one of your best players, if not your best player. So,
yeah.
um, that's uh, frustrating from on their end. But yeah, no, it's because I feel like I heard from a lot of Yankee fans also just them saying that they moved it back because of the Yankees, because of the offense they got, because they face them so much. And I know Gleyber Torres hit like 15 home runs against them like a couple years ago. So maybe they just like had enough. And but my buddy was saying he's like why don't they like they should, instead of spending money on a wall, is like spend money on pitching to stop the guys that are hitting home runs over the wall. So
Give your players
yeah.
time to develop, and eventually they're going to start putting the ball on the wall at the same
Exactly.
pace. Uh,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
On a positive note from the Orioles though, is that it was good to see Edley Ruchman finally get the call after so long.
Oh, what a beautiful
Um
moment! Wow.
yeah. So I mean, I feel like I've heard of Edley Ruchman for like 10 years and I have yet to see him play.
Right.
So it's good to see him switching catcher. Um what are you like? I don't know if you saw a couple of his at bats. I know I saw a couple of his at bats over the weekend. But what are your thoughts on Adley Rutschman and just the way that the Orioles handled it? A lot of people questioned it because it was more of like it was kind of like the Chris Bryant thing where for example, I mean, he should have started the season with the Orioles. You could even say that about last year. So I know he's had a lot of injuries that's kind of faltered his minor league seasons over the years. But yeah, he could have been here and should have been here way earlier. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the way they handled it and just seeing him overall as a player?
Well, I'm glad they finally brought him up when they did. Um, this kid is so talented. He's such a talented hitter and a great catcher. And a great hitter from both sides. I think you know I would point the finger at the Orioles for handling it the way they did, but I guess because of the policies in place, some teams are kind of forced to do this. This is something that can be changed during the off season, but that is, as we see, changing stuff during the off season can be a bit intense when deals are up, when contracts are up, and anything can happen. I think things happen the way they're pretty much supposed to, and best of luck to him in his career, in his young career. Um, you know, I haven't really seen too much of his at bats, if I'm to be honest, but I did see that triple that he had, and just to see him book it around the bases and have his family there smiling, and then in the beginning of the game when he took the field and took a second to just take it everything in, just turn around and watch the fans and look around the stadium. It's like, yeah, man, you're there, like you're there, just loving and congratulations. It's so cool. It's so cool. It's every moment that players like me dream about, and it's awesome. So I think he has a good head on his shoulders, and I think there's a lot to look forward to him. I think his development will definitely depend on the Orioles for sure, because they have a very gifted player in Adley Rutschman. So let's see what happens.
And that's something the Orioles need overall is just something to cheer for. A guy
Yeah,
like Edley Rutschman,
yeah,
touched a little bit on Trey Mancini, but yeah, they need a guy like that to take the mantle to be the guy in
yeah,
Baltimore.
yeah,
They haven't really had one since like maybe like Manny Machado or like Chris Davis,
yeah, yeah,
stuff like that. So yeah, it's good to see. I know some of the young talent, and you said that the young talent eventually is going to be mashing home runs. I mean, the
yeah,
guys like Cedric Mullins also look pretty good. So it's like
yeah,
they have, and you really look at it's like, and I heard it, I think the other day it was on MLB Network or something, and they were saying how like the Orioles, they have really young, talented pieces, but the only problem is that the AL East is just so good. So like what they were saying, oh, like the Astros had success because the West didn't have their act together. But in the Cubs had success because the Central didn't have their act together when it comes to young cores. So
yeah.
not that overall, not that the Orioles have the same type of core,
Right.
but they're even at at this pace because I think when you look at the standings, they're in last place, but they're like I think they have like the exact same record as the Cubs. So I think at like seven,
Yeah,
it's like they had like 17 wins or something. So
yeah,
they're I think closer than people think, but definitely the new postseason format will help them. But they're going to need a little more than Edley Ruchman for sure.
absolutely.
Um, and then yeah, so a couple other notes. I know Max Scherzer's out for 6 to 8 weeks with an oblique strain. That's tough to see again, just because Mets are playing so well and Degrom already out.
Yep.
And they have guys to like back them up, and
Hmm.
McGill's pitching well, and Chris Bassett, whatever. So they
Yeah.
have a little bit of depth there, but it is rough to see that. Trevor Story, as you mentioned before, he's killing it, finally hitting bombs for the Red Sox. I know he hit two the other day. So he's really racking up hits for them finally.
Oh yeah.
And then also what I thought was kind of funny to see was I actually had a buddy send me this screenshot of Fangraphs weighted runs created plus for teams, right? And this buddy sent me my buddy Lupe sent me a screenshot of the Brewers. They're in against when you take out those teams like the when you take out the NL Central teams, the Brewers are last in weighted runs created plus um uh in Major League Baseball. So I thought that was honestly jaw dropping because of the fact that how they're in first place of the NL Central at 26-16, one of the best teams in the NL. But when you look at that, it just shows the weakness of the NL Central and what that does and what that might mean for the Brewers in the postseason, because I think what I've always said, and a lot of people don't like divisions, and I get this.
Yeah.
I talk about this with buddies in general about divisions and whether they should be a thing or not. At least there probably won't be in the future. I think the aligned schedules kind of working to eliminate divisions, but I do
Yeah.
like the fact that I like that about baseball, where you have a division, you have a weak division, but you're gonna get exploited. Like it's
Yeah.
unavoidable. Like how
Yeah.
many times have we seen, like, for example, the Twins win the Central and then beat a weak Central and then lose in the playoffs in the first round. So
Yeah.
like I like that about divisions. I like that you're gonna beat. Yeah, for me, it kind of reminds me of soccer too. And like in soccer, I know, like for example, like when you go to the World Cup, a lot of teams, you're kind of thinking like, oh, how does this team make it, or how does this team make it? And it's like, oh, they had a weak region, and then they go to like
Yeah.
they get eliminated in the group stage. They lose like all three
Hmm.
games. So
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of like that. You're the best of that region, you're the best of that division, but you're gonna get called out eventually. You're gonna get smacked eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what are your thoughts on that? I mean, that's when I was looking at that, I was like, I wouldn't say I'm exaggeratingly surprised, but it was something like I expected them to be higher on the list, not last.
Yeah. I'm not too surprised, just as as we're talking about them, I've never thought of the Brewers very highly as an offensive team. And that is in no way disrespecting anyone on that team. But I've never held them in too high of a regard offensively. Especially in terms of scoring runs. They're 100% more of a base to base team. They're a team that has power in Christian Yelich and Rowdy Tellez. Um, but you know what? That's kind of where it stops. I don't think Andrew McCutchen is that kind of player. I think he is a player who's going to drive in a lot of runs, but he isn't someone who is all that consistent. This is a team that isn't the most consistent, and like we just talked about with the divisions in baseball, that's one of the reasons why they are who they are right now is because they play in the Central. But I do believe if you take the Brewers and put them in many other divisions that I could think of in my head, NL or AL, I don't think they have the record they do. I don't think they have the success they do. Um, just because I don't think offensively they are a team that you look at and you're like, wow, You know what I mean? So I just, I'm not too surprised. I'm not too surprised when I see that. They do generate a lot of base hits. This is a team that does get on base a lot, but in terms of scoring runs, in terms of how they're driving in runs, I don't think they're elite. So I'm not too surprised by what I just learned.
And the one thing too that I thought was kind of eye opening too was just the fact that how good of a season Tellez is having,
Yeah,
and like that, like, but at the same time, if that's one of your best hitters, what does that say about your offense? No disrespect to
yeah,
Rowdy Tellez, but it's like
hmm
when you have guys in the lineup like Christian Yelich or Willie Adames,
yeah,
guys like that. You have guys
yeah,
struggling like Keston Hira and General
yeah,
McCutcheon. You know, it's concerning. It's in,
hmm
but yeah, good for him in general. You love to see that he's mostly been like a role player, and now he's getting a starting role mostly now in Milwaukee.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Good for him,
yeah, good for him there.
especially with Vogelbach now, in Pittsburgh, and yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. Vogel, I mean, and he's hitting well in Pittsburgh. Probably going to hit his
hmm
way out of Pittsburgh. So,
yeah,
that's going to
yeah,
be something else to look at. And when talking about Yelich too, he could be hitting better in a results
hmm
perspective. But he actually, this is another thing too. I was looking at because, like I said, I was like kind of on a baseball savant binge. It just seeing it, looking at his numbers. I mean, his the way his peripherals look really well right now. Look really good for a guy that is struggling from a results perspective. So the way I see it is, I think Yelich is going to start hitting real soon because of just the way he's hitting the ball hard and
yeah,
he like I think for him too is like there's no way that he's this player that he's been in 2021 and in 2020 like
yeah.
I don't know, there's got to be something's got to give. So
Absolutely.
and like I know I was looking at when I was looking at his Savant page, I mean it's just all red. I mean he's got he's in the 90 percentile for like
hmm
average exit velocity,
Yeah.
max exit velocity, hard hit rate, x woba, expecting batting average, expected slugging. So he's barreling up stuff and he's hitting the ball hard,
Yeah.
and so it's just about like it'll come for him. But yeah, like is that something that you expect from Christian Yelich? Like you expect it to come back? Because he could easily come out here and win comeback player of the year if he puts a good season together this year.
100%. He's such a seasoned player. And even he's really not hitting terrible this year either. With he's has 37 hits, 9 doubles. He's hit five over the wall, 20 RBIs. I don't think the batting average is what it is, but I think to a certain extent, I'm not saying we have to get over the batting average, but we can't let that stand out so much in some cases. Because I do think he has been a productive hitter this year, a better hitter this year already than he was last year. He's so mature. I don't see any reason why he doesn't have a good year and why he doesn't continue to heat up even more. Just because I think he has gone through his struggles these past few seasons. But I don't see that lasting. I don't see that lasting very long, just because of who he is and how control he is of who he is as a player and himself. Big fan of Christian Yelich. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes this year very, very strong.
Yeah, and yeah, he's one of those really cool guys in the league and just loves to have
Yeah,
fun and I've
yeah,
seen plenty of interviews with him, so he's really like smart baseball player. So yeah, really as much as I dislike the Brewers, really want to see him succeed. So
yeah.
hopefully gets those results soon. Um yeah, so I mean that just about wraps things up for this week of At Bat Baseball podcast. For Saul Rodriguez and Miles Porter. This was a War Media production. So hope everyone has a great week, and we will see you next week.